there, welcome to Teen Time. My name is Terry, and today we're talking about where is God in my life. But before we get started, we're going to introduce ourselves again. Ladies, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Nardine, I'm 14 and I'm from Virgin Mary and St. Bartholomew's Church.
I'm Juliana, I'm 13 and I'm from St. Mark's Church in DC.
I'm Grace, I'm 13 and I'm from St. Mark's, DC.
I'm Helen, I'm 15 and I'm from St. Mark's, DC.
All right, good to see you again, ladies. Today we're talking about where is God in my life. So I have a question for you. When does God feel the most present and most near in our lives? What do you think?
Everything's going perfect. When nothing's wrong and maybe for me it's when I just came back from a church trip or something and I feel great, my life's perfect, nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, or when you're praying for something that you really need God to help you with, and then God helps you with it and he helps you get through it, then you feel oh, God answered me and stuff like that.
I feel it'll sound weird, but I always pray before I go to bed, so I feel he's most near at that time.
That's really beautiful. Yeah.
I feel it's easy to say that we have God with us, especially after we finish Sunday school or something and we're feeling empowered. And we go, oh yeah, God's with me, I feel great. And it's been a good day.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Whenever we feel we are fiery for God, on top of the world, things are going great, thank God, we feel close, connected to God. When are the times that he feels the least near and silent or not even there?
Going off of what Juliana said, if God answers your prayers, you feel oh, he's always there. But if you pray constantly over and over again and you're just not receiving the answer that you want or any answer at all, then you feel oh, where's God? Or when things start happening that just declining, everything's going downhill from there.
Yeah, personally, if I'm continually praying for something and I'm not feeling I'm getting a response for anything, I kind of feel discouraged. And I'm is God even listening to me right now? Does he even care at all?
Especially during the hard times and when we're in trouble and we're looking for God for some sort of guidance or help. And we just start questioning, well, where is he? Why isn't he answering me? Or where did he go? Do I get some sort of sign from him?
Mostly when things don't go the way that you want them to go.
Yeah, it's so true.
And I think we know we can't do anything without God. So when we're not getting our answer, we feel so really scared and afraid that we're alone and we're not going to have somebody to help us. Yeah. So we feel trapped, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way to put it. Feeling trapped, feeling almost in despair when we don't feel God near us. It can be a scary feeling, huh? So what do people usually do when they feel God has quote unquote abandoned them?
So I think that when people feel God has left them or isn't answering them, then they usually give up on him and they just feel discouraged and stuff, and maybe they'll go and do sins that that are bad for them so they can feel better about themselves, because they feel left forgotten.
They start thinking that God left them and he's not able to stay with them, and they think, oh, God abandoned me, so I've been praying for all this time and I've been doing all this and he is obviously ignoring me or he doesn't want to listen to me, so why should I still believe that he's there, or why should I keep trying? And they, like Juliana said, they just give up and they don't have hope in it anymore, and they think, oh, God must have left me.
I know this is not the most practical thing, but for me, I feel when I'm I know God's there, but when I know I'm praying my hardest, but I feel it's more of a motivation for me to pray even harder, pray in a different way, trying to tell God this is something I really need help with and I can't do without you, so just encouraging me to pray more almost, or focus on my spiritual rule better. Maybe this is God warning me to stop doing something. Or
That's a great point.
I feel like if you, not like in a sense like hard fighting, but like if you fight with him a little, just be like, oh please God, can you like answer this prayer? Like I really need you. I feel like he's like sort of testing you to like trust in him more and believe in him more.
That's an excellent point, and it reminds me of like when Jacob fought with God in the Bible. Yeah. Excellent. We talked about what people usually do when they feel like God abandoned them, and you kind of touched on what you guys do when you feel like God isn't there. Did you guys want to add what you kind of do as well, like personally?
Yeah, so kind of like what Helen said, like she feels motivated to pray harder and stuff. I kind of feel the same way, but like when God isn't answering my prayer, like maybe there's a reason that he's not answering it, like that's not the right thing that he wants me to do, even though I think that it's right for me to be doing it, but like God's judgment is better than mine.
God has a plan, and he's not trying to give you like these like bad thoughts and ideas. It's never things like this that come from him. It always comes from the devil instead. So it's more of wanting to strengthen your faith, because the more you do, the less you're going to think of thoughts or let thoughts come to you of where are you, why did you leave me?
Yeah, and also when like God doesn't answer us like right away, then like it's just like important to know like it's not like the right time, like because like God has a plan like every single like moment like he has like accounted for. So like maybe he's not supposed to answer that at the specific time. It might be like a few like weeks, or like maybe you have to wait a really long time to get the answer that you want. But like there's like an exact time and place for us to learn each lesson in our life.
I just remember that he has a plan for all of us, and I just keep praying.
Very good answers. I definitely agree. I think it's really important to remember that God is not trying to torture us. He's not trying to make us fall into despair on purpose. He has a plan, he has a purpose and a timing. I think the timing is really important too. And I think my next question was, what is the right way to respond when God feels distant? But I think I liked the answers you gave. Did you want to add anything else?
Well, kind of like what we said before, but like you should keep praying. You shouldn't just give up on it, because maybe like what Gracie said, God is testing you to see like if you really trust him and stuff. And maybe he has something better planned for you instead.
Yeah, and I think it's also okay to like tell God how you feel. You could say like, oh, I feel alone, or like you're not listening to me. Like please like show me that like you care about like my prayers and that you're like next to me.
I really like that answer. I think it's so important that we tell God how we feel. If we're feeling angry, we tell God we're angry. If we're feeling like, God, you feel distant to me. And I think that's okay to tell God, because it's better to have, like, I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's better to have like a real relationship with God where you can tell him those things instead of just be like, okay, thank you God for the day, thank you God, whatever, and not like be real with him. Like, I think he really treasures that when we're real with him. Is there truth to the statement that God leaves us? And why or why not do you think that is?
I don't think God leaves us. He just doesn't like answer to every single thing at every single time. Like he's always like there, but like not every single time you're gonna like feel it, I guess.
Yeah, God is always there. He's always like watching over you. He doesn't like leave you, but maybe he just doesn't answer right away, and you like make yourself feel like he's leaving you, or the devil tricks you into thinking that God left you.
I think what they were saying was like pretty spot on. He never really leaves you. It's just the thoughts that are coming into your head and the doubts that you get. And he's quiet because he has a plan that he's waiting to put into action, or he has hopes for you in the future that he's hoping that you'll pray more, that he'll be able to encourage you to do more and take more action and give you a lighter path.
Or like seek him more. Maybe that's what he's wanting you to do.
Yeah, and like God himself is just like very like quiet when he's telling us stuff. So like the more we seek him, then like the louder his voice is. So if we're like not doing like the right things like out of like our spiritual life, then like how are we gonna be able to like hear his voice over all like the worldly things that we're filled with?
Yeah, or if God is like telling you to do something and you are not on the right path, then if he's not answering you, then you should like seek harder, like Helen said, and like try harder and try to like ask God to like direct you in the right path to like do what he wants you to do.
I feel like he's trying to teach us a lesson to like that you shouldn't get like everything that you want. Like when you're asking him, he doesn't want you to be like spoiled.
It's a good point too. Sometimes, sorry, go ahead.
And patience for like waiting for his answer.
Yeah. Sometimes he has maybe something really specific in mind instead of something that we think is good for us. Perhaps he has something better for us that we don't know. My next question was, do you think that God would leave his children to fend for themselves? We kind of already talked about that, so I'll skip that. Sometimes we don't feel God in our present circumstances, but God chooses to reveal himself to us in many ways. What are some ways that you can think of that God chooses to reveal himself to us? Like, what do you guys think?
For me, like, it's more when I'm at like my lowest of low and I feel like, oh, like nothing can help me now, and like God like shows himself in like the best way possible, and you feel like, oh, like God is with me. He's always like in my favor. He always has like a plan for me. But like I'm like when I'm going through that, like I'm more blind that I can't see that God has a bigger plan than just helping me with whatever.
I think he has a little more of a response when, like Helen said, you're reaching your lowest of lows, and from there you can only work your way back up, and God's gonna help you do that. He's gonna respond, and he's gonna, like, you've made it, and he's gonna help you come back up to being happier and living life a little bit better.
Now let me add something to that. I know you guys probably have stuff to say, but I wanted to add, what kind of encouragement can you give to someone who has tried so hard time and time again? They're trying to ask God for help, but they just can't feel God's presence. What kind of encouragement can you give them to just like keep persevering, to keep praying?
Maybe you can like pray with them, because it says in the Bible, like, if two or more are gathered in my name, then I'm there. So like you can pray with them to like comfort them and like let them know that God is there with you, even if he's not answering you like speedily or right away or revealing himself the way you want him to, then he's like still there and he still has a plan for you.
Juliana gave like a mention in the Bible, and I think continuing on to that, giving them something in the Bible to read about, or stories to read about, or things that he says, that kind of answer to their problem or answer to how they're feeling in the Bible, it can help them as well.
It's so true. I definitely agree. All right. So what other ways do you think, like I was thinking like maybe in nature or in interactions with godly people, what other ways do you think God chooses to reveal himself to us?
Maybe he will reveal himself like through a person that comes into your life, like for a specific reason that God sent them to do that. Or like maybe through good news if you're feeling like super bad or something, and like you hear good news, then like maybe that's one way that God can reveal himself to you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Someone coming into your life. My mom, she was looking at things about what was happening to like Christians in the past and stuff like that, and she was feeling down, and someone knocks on the door and she opens it, and it's someone who wanted to spread the news of God and like who he is and what he can do to help, and she felt like a lot of hope, because she was feeling down about what was happening, and someone came to the door telling her that kind of like Jesus is still there, God is still there.
That's so beautiful. We're actually going to take a short break, but I love the discussion that we're having, and we'll continue this discussion when we come back. All right, welcome back to Teen Time. Today we're discussing, where is God in my life? And we were just discussing a question that I asked that was, what kind of ways does God choose to reveal himself to us? So we kind of talked about a little bit about people in our lives that come to us, that remind us of God's presence. What other things do you guys think that God reveals himself to us?
He can show us something like straight in our face, like something like really like random that like you'll understand like super fast, but or it could be something that like just like seems like nothing but slowly progresses into like a message that God's trying to send you.
And like sometimes like when you're reading the Bible and like you have like a thought in your head that like a problem that you're dealing with, like God may like open your mind, and like when you're reading there will be like a verse that like speaks directly to you, and like you know exactly what that means for you sometimes. So that's a way that God can like speak to you.
I know this might sound silly, but I would say license plates, because sometimes like there's like these Christian license plates, and like maybe like you're having a bad day one day, and then you just see right in front of you that there's maybe like one that says God, trust in God, or God loves you, something like that.
Yeah, that's so true actually. Sometimes you find like different license plates or different messages even. I think one time I saw a truck and it said St. Mary's Cement, and I'm like, wow, that's so cool. So just little messages that God sends you throughout the day, like on random things. So sometimes people argue that if one can't see God physically, then God doesn't exist. What is the response that we can give them in that situation?
So like most people who don't believe in God, like are atheists or something like that, they think that like seeing is believing and like feeling is believing. But it says in the Bible like those like you who have seen me and like have believed, like you are blessed, but those who haven't seen me and still believe are even more blessed. So like you have to like trust in God, and even if everyone around you is like telling you, oh, like you can't see him, how can you think he's there, like you have to just like know that he's there.
We were talking before about something like this, and there was a story that was brought up about this woman who was listening to someone talking about being atheist, and that you know you can't see God, you can't like physically touch God, so he's probably not there, and he might not be there either, you know. And she rose her hand and she spoke to him and she said, well, you can go ahead for the rest of your life thinking that he isn't there, and in the end you can learn that maybe he was, but I fully believe that he's there. And if I'm wrong, you know, if I'm right, then I get to be in heaven with him. But if I'm wrong, I don't pay a consequence, and there's no real consequence to my belief in what I feel.
Yeah, you're not losing anything. So the biggest loss is if we just deny God, and then at the end, like you said, he's there and we're like, oh, okay. What examples from the Bible can you guys think of people that were searching for God? And can you explain a little bit?
I feel like Job kind of, because like everything was taken away from him, but like he was like strong and he knew like God was like on his side, but like at the end of the day, like probably like wondering like why is this happening to me?
Maybe maybe like Ruth, because after like her husband died and stuff, and like everyone around her was like she was searching for like a new life kind of, with like her like mom and stuff. So she was searching for a new life, and like she kind of wanted to like start all over. So maybe she was searching for God in a way, like she wanted to like have a life with God, and she wanted to like build a relationship with God.
Who else do you guys think? Other people in the Bible that were searching for God?
I would say, you know, maybe Joseph.
Okay.
He-
Why do you think Joseph?
You know, he lost a lot in life before coming to a point where he was at his all-time low, and his brothers wanted nothing to do with him, and he felt like the world was all the world was against him. And then it came to the point where he found that he had like a gift and he had God on his side, and it came to the point where he realized that it never came to the point where God was gone. He was always there, but he had a plan for Joseph to grow stronger and to have a better life.
Also, maybe like in a different way, kind of Abraham, because God like told him to sacrifice his only son, and Abraham listened, but he was like not doubtful, but he was like searching for God, like really, like, you want me to like kill my son? So like he followed God, and once God like talked to him and like he was like, don't kill your son, Abraham like found God, and he found like God was just trying to like see if he trusted in him enough.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective.
In a way, I feel like Zachariah, before he could not talk, like he was sort of like questioning God because he didn't know like that that his wife was going to be like pregnant. So he was like sort of questioning God.
Questioning, like, maybe God's, like, is God really talking to me? Is this really gonna happen? Yeah. True. Sometimes when people feel very hurt because of their circumstances, they're angry with God for allowing these things to happen, and they question God's wisdom and even existence, like you were saying about Zechariah. Like, he was just questioning God, like, what are you talking about, God? What response or comfort do you think this person needs to hear?
I think that they need to like be reminded that God is always there, like we said before, and they need to be reminded that no matter what, he's always watching you, like watching over you and like protecting you and stuff, and he loves you unconditionally. So even if you mess up, then he still loves you either way.
Yeah, I agree.
I think his characteristics too. We say that God, he's not, he came and took flesh, but he's not like the rest of us. He is able to be perfect and without sin, and he's able to see what we all have ahead of us when he looks at us. And I think it's to the point where people forget that, oh, you know, he's not just another one of us. He's someone who is a lot wiser, and he has a plan for us, and he's here for us. And he made us. He cares for all of us. And that's what can help someone like get through it.
Yeah, definitely reminding a person about God's promises.
Yeah, and I think you could share like experiences from like how God has like shown himself in your life, like showing him like I was like in such a bad situation and God like showed himself like in a very like miraculous way. He can do the same thing in your life. So it's like important to like not give up.
Yeah, and like God is always like he's waiting for you to come back to him, and he's always like forgiving, and he's waiting for you with open arms. So like it's like you just have to like make the move to like go towards God, and then he will like come to you and like welcome you.
Have anything else to add, Grace? No. I think they kind of said it all, right?
Yeah.
Do you think God may possibly have a reason for seeming to be absent from a person's life? And if so, what is it? I know we kind of touched on it before, but maybe we can go a little deeper in that question.
Learning patience and like you're not supposed to get everything that you want right when you want it, and like if you even like need it at all. So like it's just like discernment for like what you're praying for. Is it important to like do you actually like need it, and like is it the right time?
Yeah, or like kind of what Helen said, like maybe it's not the right time, like you think something is good and like God's going to give it to you, but it's like you're just not ready yet, or maybe you're not like totally mature enough to accept what he's gonna like put before you or something. So maybe he's like waiting to see like what you'll do or like what choices you'll make.
I feel like going through a trial can make you stronger in your faith. You know, he wants to see you stronger, and he wants to see you come out believing more in him and having more faith in him. And to do that, he kind of has to leave you or not leave you, but he has to stay a little more silent so that you can pull yourself to God and you can stay closer to him without always having it to be, God, like you're answering me, God is answering me, and you just have to always know that he is there.
Yeah, but if like if you're going through a trial and stuff, then like, and God is like pulling away from you, then you'll just like feel discouraged, even though like God is doing that for a purpose. But I mean, you'll feel discouraged. Like that's kind of like a natural thing that you'll feel like God doesn't care about me anymore.
Yeah, but he does want to see you. He wants to see you come out of it with more faith, because this is the way, like going through something where you're tested by the devil, of something like, oh, you know, whatever choice you make, it could either lead you farther from God in the choice you made, or it can lead you closer. And he wants to stay a little more silent because he wants to see you grow closer to him. And the way to do that is through letting you go through times of trial and you to pull through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely reminds me of the story of Job, because he definitely went through the worst trials anyone could ever go through. And at the end, it's interesting that God didn't tell him like, okay, I did this because. He told him, look how great I am, look how magnificent my glory is. And I think it was to help Job realize like, God is so much bigger than all of my problems. We're actually going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Hi there, we're back on Teen Time. Today we were talking about where is God in my life. We had a great discussion about maybe the reasons why God sometimes seems a bit more distant or silent. If you guys want to like kind of pick a few points that you remember just to kind of summarize what we talked about.
So sometimes God is distant or silent because what he's gonna give, like what you're asking for, it's not the right time for him to give it to you. And sometimes he's like testing you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like it's important for us to know like he has a bigger plan, but like when we're like in the middle of it, we don't really think about that. All we think about like God needs to answer my prayer like right now, but in reality like it's not like the right time.
He wants us to persevere and stay stronger in our faith.
And he does that by challenging us.
I really like that. It's because it's not easy, right? Mm-hmm. It's a challenge for us to kind of keep persevering, keep on believing that he's there, keep trusting in his promises. All right, I'm going to ask you to read a verse, if you don't mind. Just a verse of encouragement for us that's written right here.
Okay. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart and saves such as have a contrite spirit.
Thank you. I love that verse because it really reminds me anyway that when I'm feeling really downcast or in despair, God is near. He's not far, even though he might not feel near. And he's always there to wrap me in his arms. Can you please read that one?
Yeah. The Lord is near to all who call upon him, to all who call upon him in truth.
Thank you. And that's Psalm
145, verse 18.
Perfect. And yeah, just same thing. God is near to us. We have to keep calling on him. We have to keep praying to him and keep persevering. And I'll read the last one here. Hebrews 13:5. For he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I think that's a beautiful promise that we have to always keep in our minds. To remember God is with us. He'll never leave us. He'll never forsake us. And he always wants our good. Thank you so much, ladies. This was a great discussion on the topic, where is God in our life? And I think we touched on a lot of great points. And thank you so much for joining us on Teen Time, and we hope to see you next time.